Hi everyone, it's Marisa from the blog bumblebeeapothecary.com. Welcome back to my channel. Today I would like to do the second video in a new series that I recently started called the GAPS Diet for Dummies. It is a nice pared down kind of quick overview of the GAPS diet that encompasses the very most essential information so that you can get started quickly and so that you can start seeing results and overcome health issues and start living your life again. Once again, I wanted to remind you all the information that I'm talking about in this video and in this entire series is Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride's from her book Gut and Psychology Syndrome. I highly recommend getting this book and reading it for yourself. I'm also sprinkling throughout this whole series my own personal advice and experience from doing the GAPS diet myself and several of my family members who have been through it. Before we jump into the video, I also wanted to just say really quickly that I have this brand new free ebook that I've just released. It's called GAPS Diet Essential Recipes, and it includes 8 easy recipes where I show you how to make the things that you're going to need to know how to make before you start the GAPS introduction diet. I show how to make meat stock, a basic soup recipe, sauerkraut, yogurt, sour cream, kefir, some herbal teas, ghee, the GAPS pancakes, and applesauce. So you'll definitely want to grab a copy of that. There will be a link in the description box below where you can get that. Last time we talked about just a brief overview of what is going on in our bodies that is causing the different issues that we're experiencing, and I know that you're probably really anxious to get to the hands-on things like how do I cook this and how do I get myself or my kids to start eating this and things like that, but we do have to get through a few things first just so that you have a really good understanding of what exactly is going on and why, and that'll make the things that we do down the road make so much more sense, and you'll be able to see why you're doing it and why you need to stick to certain things and why we do it in a certain way, and it'll just be so much better all around. So stick with me while I explain a few more things in this video, and pretty soon we'll get on to the hands-on actual recipes and practicals. In this episode, we're going to be talking about our bodies as a personal ecosystem. We're kind of like our own planet, and we have our own ecosystem. And that just means that there are all of these microbes in our body in various places, and the largest concentration of those microbes or bacteria is in our digestive system. The relationship between our health and the well-being of the bacteria in our digestive system is definitely symbiotic. If we did not have those there at all, we would not be able to survive. And to the extent that those are not working well or damaged, we experience different health issues. So of that largest colony of bacteria that is in our digestive system, it can be divided into 3 different groups. There is the essential or beneficial, I also like to call them friendly gut bacteria. There's the opportunistic gut flora, and then there's some transitional gut flora also. In the first group, the friendly bacteria, these are the ones that healthy people have the most of in their guts. They perform all kinds of different vital functions like supporting our immune system, actually breaking down and digesting our food so that we can use it, as well as producing certain vitamins in our digestive system that our body needs. The second group of bacteria is the opportunistic gut flora, and these are certain strains of yeasts and some other things that we do need to some degree in our gut, but we don't want large numbers of them. It's when the friendly bacteria get destroyed and wiped out that the opportunistic ones take over and we experience health problems. And then the last group, the third group, the transitional gut flora, these ones are things that if we don't have a healthy amount of gut flora of friendly bacteria in place, they could make us sick. So we normally consume these just when we eat food. They're kind of all around us in our environment on things that we eat, and in a normal healthy person it's fine, they just kind of pass right through. So the entire length of our digestive tract inside of us is coated with a thick bacterial layer. This thick layer creates a barrier that protects us against invaders, toxins, parasites, and even undigested food. If this friendly bacteria gets damaged, then as Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride puts it in her book, the walls of the city are not well protected. That is exactly what happens in a GAPS person's gut. So on the surface of our intestines, there is a certain structure with finger-like protrusions called villi. On the villi, there are certain cells called enterocytes that live on the villi, and they, throughout their life cycle, they travel up the fingers of the villi, and in doing so, they complete the digestive process of our food and help our body to absorb the nutrients in our food. So these cells are born down in between the fingers or villi, and then throughout their life cycle they slowly travel up the fingers. They get older as they travel up, and then they get old and die, but there's a constant regrowth of new ones, and our bodies are designed so that the life cycle is just the perfect amount so that the digestive process takes place exactly perfectly. I'm showing you a little picture from Dr. Campbell McBride's book where she shows a cute little cartoon of these guys as they complete their life cycle. Our friendly bacteria in our gut act like housekeepers, and they actually help to take care of these enterocytes. If the bacteria is damaged or even wiped out, then these enterocytes are not properly cared for and they cannot do their process properly, which means our food is not properly broken down or digested and we're not able to absorb nutrients. In lab animals that had a sterilized gut, these enterocytes were not able to do their work at all, and the villi actually degenerate in that case. When this happens, then the animal experiences malabsorption, nutritional deficiencies, and food intolerances. So you can think of it this way: the gut flora is the housekeeper, or are the housekeepers of the digestive system. So I'm showing you another picture here where you can see the hair on top of the enterocytes. The hairs are called microvilli, and those hairs complete the final stages of the digestive process. So let's talk about kind of a practical example of how this digestive system works and then what kind of problems come up when it goes awry. So a lot of people these days are unable to tolerate wheat and dairy. Let me know in the comments if you know anyone like this who cannot have wheat or has trouble digesting wheat or has problems with dairy. So here's how the process is supposed to work. It's supposed to work in two different stages. In the first stage, the stomach acids break down the either milk or wheat proteins into peptides, and some of these peptides have morphine-like structures. That might sound a little scary, and normally when the digestive process is happening like it should, then it's not an issue, but some bad things can happen, so stay tuned and find out what happens. In the second stage of digestion, these proteins or peptides that have been broken down enter the small intestine, where they are mixed with juices from the pancreas, and then the enzymes from those enterocytes on the villi help to break down the proteins, and then the body can use these nutrients properly. But in a GAPS person's gut, though, stage 2 is missing. So here's what happens instead. The enterocytes are not properly taken care of, so that last stage of digestion can't actually happen. What happens instead is those peptides with the morphine-like structures don't get broken down, and the leaky, damaged gut wall allows those to be passed into the bloodstream completely unchanged. And that is when they cause problems, either with brain function or with immune system. There has been a lot of research done into different fields like autism, ADHD, schizophrenia, depression, psychosis, and autoimmune disorders that show how this missing stage 2 in the digestive process of especially these types of proteins really causes a lot of problems. But the really good news is when friendly gut bacteria is restored and that proper balance is there again and the function is happening like it should, then these people can oftentimes go back to eating wheat and milk again and do not have trouble with their symptoms returning. So hopefully you're seeing now how important that balance of friendly bacteria in the gut is. That is really what the GAPS diet is all about, is healing and sealing that gut and then restoring that healthy bacteria so that the bacteria can actually heal and seal the gut, and then that digestive process can actually start again and be functioning properly so that food can be digested completely and that nutrients can be absorbed. Because without this really healthy balance of friendly gut bacteria, our bodies can't absorb our nutrients in our food. We could be eating the very best, highest quality food there is, and our bodies wouldn't be getting what we needed. This is what I was experiencing before I did the GAPS diet. My family ate really healthy food. I was so underweight and I had all these health issues, and that's why it was kind of baffling at first, and I'm really excited to share this information with you guys so that you can know what you need to know to heal and enjoy better health. Our friendly bacteria also do other things like actually synthesize vitamins in our gut. They make a variety of these, including K2 and a bunch of different forms of vitamin B. People with damaged gut flora, on the other hand, are quite frequently, almost always, deficient in different vitamins and minerals and nutrients, just because they may be eating the right food, but their body cannot digest it properly and break it down and use it, or actually provide those vitamins from the food either. So as you can see, our gut really holds the basis of our health. Dr. Campbell McBride described it as the roots of a tree. A tree with healthy roots is going to be a healthy tree. A tree with sickly roots isn't going to be a sickly tree. And it's kind of like the roots of a tree in that we can't see it, it's inside of us. Just like the roots of a tree are underground and we can't see them, but the health of them really makes or breaks the health of our body. So hopefully you found that inspiring and encouraging, helpful and informative. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions or want to know more about anything, leave me a comment below. We're going to get on to one more video that kind of talks about some more information about how the gut flora actually gets damaged in the first place, so that if you weren't aware of these things, then you can start avoiding the right things so that gut flora doesn't get damaged anymore. And then after that, we're going to dive into the practical things. We're going to start learning about what exactly we need to be eating and in what order, how to prepare those things. I'm going to be sharing lots of different recipes and hands-on things, so stay tuned for those. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with anybody that you think might like it or find it helpful. If you're new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button. I make new videos every week on traditional health wisdom and living a sustainable DIY lifestyle. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.